Peace, guys. Patrick, Conservative Rap. And in this video, let's talk a little bit more globally, geopolitics. As you know, Trump may be speaking to someone in Iran beyond Khomeini. Netanyahu, he may come to the U.S. to shut down the Gaza war. And Zelensky is saying it's time for peace. So a lot happening across the geopolitical spectrum. Let's delve right into it. The deep state really has no more power to create wars. They lost the leverage. The more they push, the more they expose themselves effectively. And we are now seeing across the judiciary and the Senate the deep state. Trump is a deal maker, and that may be what's going on behind the scenes. So I'm going to pull up. Let's start with X. All right, and we're going to go to my sections. Just coming down. Check this out. Libs of TikTok says it the best. Just sharing my screen here. Spot the difference. Biden's border, Trump's border. Let's take a closer look. Look at this. Corridor. Like physically the same corridor. Geographically.
Running, no running, no running, walk, 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 no running, walk, no Quran, no Aifila, no Aifila.
Now, moving on. This is from Trisha McLaughlin. She's responding to some of the fake news. This is what they do. They say a pregnant woman lost her baby after ICE refused to give her prenatal care. She begged for help and was denied. She was fed full of cockroach food. She was fed food full of cockroaches. A nice tongue twister there. She was forced to sleep on the floor. This is absolutely disgusting, and we should all be outraged. So Trisha from Ohio responds, absolutely false. She had full medical prenatal care. We have documentation to show such. Iris Lemus, 37, is a citizen of Guatemala who has been arrested multiple times for child abuse and is wanted on an active warrant for homicide. Right? So night and day. The fake news is over. And next on Truth, before we go over to Truth, Liz Crokin on the Diddy matter, which I know a lot of people are paying attention to as well. No charges were dropped against Diddy. The fake news lied again. The government streamlined the charges, aka restructured the wording of it so it's presented to the jury in a simplistic and easy format to jurors so they can understand it. This lawyer gives a good explanation, and she links to a video. I won't show it here, but it's effectively a lawyer explaining how the updates with the Diddy charges are effectively a truncation for simplification purposes, not exactly any dropping of the charges. Again, when you're watching what's happening out there on the news and seeing all their comments, you really got to check it with a careful eye and not buy into the hype, even from some of the so-called conservative or more right-leaning outlets. Next, Trump on Truth. Just some quick comments so we can hear, what the boss is saying. The Democrats, and no, he noticed the Democrats specifically, are the ones who leaked information on the perfect flight to the nuclear sites in Iran. They should be prosecuted. Follow up on this one. This is going to be a interesting one, I think, in terms of proving fundamentally that deep state actors funded terrorism through Iran using the terror cells within Iran that operated there as a conduit to fund some bad stuff. All right, here we go again. Rumors is that the failing New York Times and fake news CNN will be firing the reporters who made up the fake stories on the Iran nuclear sites because they got it so wrong. Let's see what happens. And just back to X quickly on this Iran thing. Let's check out a few posts. I'm going to share this screen. Bookmarks. Right. Here we go. Does anyone have a comprehensive list of all the IRGC commanders, officials, and anyone related to them that have been exterminated by Israel since June 13th? The IRGC HQ is gone. The besieged HQ is gone. Their national surveillance system is gone. What's left? Talk about, and again, a lot of people on the right are against what happened in Iran. Fundamentally, we're going to see how tactical this was and how it destabilized that nation's terror cells that were really operating there, which ultimately will free the Iranian people to take charge of their own destiny. Mossad commentary: 30 Iranian generals eliminated during the 12-day war. Hossein Salami, their commander-in-chief. Mohammad Hossein Bagheri, their chief of general staff. Gholam Ali Rashid Khatem, I'm not going to butcher these names, the HQ commander, and he goes on, right? Again, decapitating some of these terror organizations and the people who are funding this nuclear threat that's existed for a long time. As Trump says all the time, Iran cannot have nuclear weapons. And check this out. This is open source intel. Khamenei, Iran's supreme leader, was not involved in making decisions about the ceasefire with Israel. So fascinating stuff. Let's move on. This was also another fascinating take by Carl Mehta. Real-time crisis coordination. Rubio, Secretary of State, NSA, Vance, and Witkoff communicated with Iran both directly and indirectly. You see? They used Qatar as an intermediary while maintaining back-channel communications. Multiple diplomatic tracks running simultaneously during active combat. Let's take a quick listen.
What I find remarkable about this administration is the ideological diversity of President Trump's cabinet. And I'm curious if you could bring us into the room for a moment about sort of the breadth of opinion, especially on this issue, but in general, you have a range from hawks to isolationists. Like, where do you see yourself on that, and what are those conversations like on the inside?
No, well, on the inside, there's only one president of the United States. I find it curious when people argue as if somehow this is some coalition government and we all get a vote. There's only one vote here. The president of the United States is the commander-in-chief.
I do know he likes to hear, a diversity
well, that's
of
different.
opinions,
So people will give you their opinions, and obviously you can give opinions, but ultimately there's only one decision. And so our job internally is to provide the president the best opinions that we may have, the best ideas that we might have, opportunities, and also, if somebody's bringing up information that we think is not accurate, challenge the accuracy, things of this nature.
Is there healthy debate?
Yeah. One of the great things is that most of the people, at least on the national security front, have known each other for a long time. I've known John Radcliffe for a very long time. I've known the vice president for a very long time. I've known the chief of staff for a very long time. I've known Pete Hegseth before all of this. So we've known each other all. And so we have a very good working relationship. Steve Woodcoff is from Miami. I know him very well. He's from New York, but we obviously, everyone from New York is now from Miami.
The Miami-New York connection is pretty tight these days.
And one of the great people in the world, too. And so I think, but ultimately, once the president makes a decision, his instincts are uncanny. Right. And we have to appreciate that. That's one of the things the people of the United States voted for, is a president who has incredible instincts about the right thing to do. And our job is to operationalize that. When he says, this is the direction I want to go, our job is not to spend all day trying to change his mind. Once he's made a decision, our job is to go out and make sure the president's orders are executed on. That's the way administrations work.
Amen. Well said. And shut it down. Check out the whole interview for more of a fire sort of analysis. Carl Mehta has I think 8 or 9 part post that really breaks it down, but fascinating to see. Now let's move on to rapid response. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. One of the president's key objectives is that the Abraham Accords be expanded. We think we're going to have some pretty big announcements on countries that are now coming into the Abraham Peace Accords.
One of the president's key objectives is that the Abraham Accords be expanded, that more countries come into it, and we are working on that on my team and in coordination with the Secretary of State and the entire State Department. And we think we're going to have some pretty big announcements on countries that are now coming into the Abraham Peace Accords. And we're hoping for normalization across an array of countries that maybe people would have never contemplated would come in. So we're excited for that prospect. That will also be a stabilizer in the Middle East. One of the president's key objectives is,
when this is all done, and let's just move on to Karma Patriot for the closing blow here. Think we finally got an answer for why Q said we're saving Israel for last. Bibi Netanyahu was a warrior, perhaps like no other in the history of Israel. It was the United States that saved Israel, and now it's going to be the United States of America that saves Bibi Netanyahu. This is in relation to some of the issues that are going on with Israel and what Bibi is facing in light of him leading his country to this kind of unique position of power and leverage that they haven't had for a long time. So she goes on and starts to talk about where some of this stuff is going. And just take a quick note here. We're going to come back to this at a later post. Barack Hussein Obama and the deep state delivered uranium and cash to Syria for Iran's secret nuclear facility. McCain and Obama used ISIS as assets. The deep state globalists plan to blame Russia, China, or North Korea for supplying the uranium to Iran. The deep state would also like to tie blame to Syria for hiding Iran's nukes. Endgame would be Israel rightfully retaliating and kicking off a Russian, Iran, Israel nuclear World War III. But D-Class exposed this plan to Trump. Kerry, Obama, and McCain were shadowing Trump foreign trips and meeting with foreign leaders to stay in control. Military joint op with Jordan captured the top 5 ISIS leaders. Pompeo used the D-Class intel to confront ISIS and bad actors. They sang like birds and agreed to cooperate. Muaz Mustafa was a plant or flipped. Imran Awan flipped. The 5% rate at NATO was our communication. So just linking to some relevant posts here. Again, when this is all done, Trump is going to be, he's going to be more deserving of a worldwide peace prize than any other. Just lastly, this was put out by Breitbart. Trump, Netanyahu prepare comprehensive Middle East peace plan. And this goes into detail. Gaza hostilities conclude within 2 weeks, ending conditions. Multiple nations globally accepting numerous Gaza inhabitants seeking immigration. Abraham expansion will bring Syria, Saudi Arabia, and additional Arab and Muslim countries to recognize Israel and establish official relationships. Israel declaring its willingness for future Palestinian conflict resolution with the two-state concepts, and the United States acknowledged limited Israeli sovereignty implementation in Judea and Samaria. So a lot more to come here, guys. Again, when this is all over, Trump, he's a deal maker. And there's a lot going on behind the scenes. It's going to be like a Nobel Peace Prize to the nth power on an exponential scale. What do you think? What do you see happening geopolitically? What are you paying attention to? What are you worried about? I'd say get ready for peace. Get ready for, in addition to the golden age, a new age of awareness on what the deep state has really done to keep us in forever wars, conflict, and undermine the safety and security, not only of us here in the United States, but of people across the globe. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share. Check me out at ConservativeRap.com for an archive of all videos as well as additional content, and also TikTok and Instagram for the rhymes and the poetry. Thanks so much for taking this out, and look forward to more shortly. Take care.